Call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Village of Tinley Park Plan Commission to order. At this time, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to the roll call. Lori, could you please take the roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell,
Present.
Commissioner Gatto,
Present.
Commissioner Lasciuto,
Present.
Commissioner Manny,
Present.
Commissioner Merrick,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw, Commissioner Truxell,
Here.
Chairman Gray.
Present. Okay, we have a quorum. We'll move on to communications. Staff, do we have any communications at this time?
Yeah, I have a couple things. I want to introduce Jarrell Blakey. He's our new management analyst, so he's here today.
Hi, Jarrell.
Can introduce each other after the meeting, but you'll probably be getting some communications from him going forward. And so we're glad to have him. He'll help with some administrative side of things with packets, postings, minutes, so he will have some involvement in this commission. But then he'll also hopefully be helping us do some policy and analysis and text amendments and all the good stuff that help us kind of move forward and into a better direction. So glad to have Jarrell here. And welcome. And he's got I don't know if you want to talk about your background. I know he interned for DeKalb prior to this. He's getting his MPA at NIU, which is a great program, and it only the best people come out of it. So glad to have him. Second is I'll just note that Chairman Gray is going to recuse himself for the first item. So his company has done work for Loyola or for the site, and we just don't want any perception of anything. So he'll be recusing himself, and Commissioner Gatto has so willingly volunteered to be acting chair for that item. So that's it for the communication.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. We'll move on to approval of the meeting minutes from the March 3rd meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 3rd, 2022 regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting?
So moved.
I heard Commissioner Gaskell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gatto. All those in favor of approving the March 3rd, 2022 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. At this time, I'll request Commissioner Gatto to come up and act as chair for this first item. And I will sit down. Start here,
Okay.
there, and then when you get to here, you can have that.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right, item number 1 is a public hearing to consider recommendation that the village board grant Sean Vincent on behalf of Loyal Medicine property owner a final plat of subdivision at 17901 LaGrange Road in the ORI Office Restrictive Industrial Zoning District. The final plat approval includes final lot division right-of-way, dictations, and easement related to the previous approved Loyola Medicine project.
Thanks, Acting Chair. I can take it from there. So this is the Loyola project. It was before you guys in, I believe, October. October 21st. It came before Plan Commission, and November 16th, it went to Village Board. We won't rehash the entire project, but here's just the overview of kind of the building they're going to be putting up on that site. And it's an ambulatory care facility that'll kind of help replace some of Loyola's staffing needs in the area. So we're excited to have them in Tinley Park. As part of that approval, we had kind of hoped that at the time we were kind of trying to have this move forward as quick as we can, since they had some timing issues. So the hope was to do a plat of dedication and then maybe come back for the plat of subdivision with easements for the utilities to really solidify what was going on. Once we looked at that, there was some issues with the plat of dedication just because there was, it wasn't previously formally subdivided. And we had some issues with the right-of-way dedication. So this plat that's before you guys today is just kind of cleaning that all up. So this will be the plat of subdivision. It encompasses not only consolidating the lots, formally actually subdividing them, subdividing a third triangle lot that was kind of part of this overall lot that's on the west side of the 96th Avenue right-of-way, recording all the utility drainage, detention, easements on the property, and then dedicating some right-of-way on 179th Street that was just kind of unclear whether it got there or not. So a lot of cleanup here. The plat that was in your packet was updated, so that's why you have a new one that was on your chair. And then we updated the motion as well to have the new date of that plat, so it's now April 5th. And the only change of that was really just some minor kind of wording cleanup for 179th Street right away. They put on the new, or the previous recording number and the correct width on there, so it's just a minor cleanup. Lastly, there's just a couple conditions on it that are typically on most plats, and that's just because there can be some tweaks or something that's found after this approval and before village board adopts it. If engineering or legal have something that can be updated. And then lastly is just to clarify that this needs to be recorded with the county before we move forward with the actual development there. So that's it for the staff report. I think it was my record shortest staff report, so this is a fairly simple plat of subdivision here. There's no zoning, so it's just you guys recommending approval or denial to the village board. And that's all I have. The petitioner's here as well, their engineer and their architect, if you guys have any questions, and I think they have a statement as well. And you don't need to swear them in.
I don't,
think.
okay.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kent Davidson. I'm a principal at the architecture firm of Hvac in Chicago, and I'm the project manager for the design team for the project. And the representative of the client was not able to be here tonight, so he asked me to come here today and make what we feel is a reasonable plea for a minor modification in the motion. We are concerned that requiring that the final plat be signed and recorded with the county is unduly pessimistic about the relationship that we've created on the project. And one thing that the pandemic has really made clear to the members of the design community is we really have very little control over some of the entities that we're going to need to get signatures from. Now, we fully intend to do all of that. It's just requiring that the permit be dependent upon that when, frankly, the time really matters. April 1st of next year, there's going to be 150 people that have nowhere to report to work. And the village has been holding drawings since September. We've been working with staff to diligently try to work through all the issues that have been there, and we will continue to do so. Our hope is that you could just recommend to the village board that on their approval of the project that the permit be issued, obviously contingent upon all those other requirements coming forward. You're going to have plenty of opportunities for redress if for whatever reason things go south on the project. We still have to get additional permits on the project. This is just to start the foundations on the project. You're holding a substantial bond on the project that if, once again, anything happens, you have the ability to come back in and use that bond and move forward if something happens. And frankly, we're going to be out there 6 days a week for the next 52 weeks trying to get this project done. You could come lock the gate any day you want if there's a problem. And our concern is that causing this to wait is of really limited value to the village, but it is of great value to Loyola to go forward. And our hope is that you just perhaps modify that motion slightly to allow us to move forward. I will say that, staff has been very diligent on this. They've been open with us and working with us, and they really don't have the ability to make that modification. But You know, I sat on the zoning board in my hometown too, and one of the things I found out that the reasons for boards is sometimes a strict interpretation of the law is not always in the best interest of the village. And that's the reason the boards really kind of exist, is to bring some judgment to bear. And our hope is that you could see clear to support the project in a little bit more tangible way to make this minor modification. Thank you.
I guess just to clarify, so that condition is really just a clarification. Even if it's removed, that's still a requirement. So you'd have to be requesting variations to build over a property line if that's not recorded. So we'd have to go through a public hearing process to do that. So that was really just put on there to clarify so everyone's on the same page, but we don't have the ability to allow construction of that building over property line. So it's not something this planning commission can grant today. You'd actually have to go through that public hearing process for that. What we do need is all the signatures on it. If, let's say, the county's just in a process of recording that, we can absolutely move that forward. So especially with Cook County, we know they can move a little bit slower with the recording process. So if it's in there, everything's signed, and we're just waiting on them to kind of formally record it. Sorry, we have like a spider crawling across the page. If we're just waiting on them, then that's not a problem. We can issue the building permits at that point. But if we're missing any of the signatures, we essentially don't have a recorded plat to move forward with. If ownership changed, if the county decided they weren't going to sign it, it would never happen. We wouldn't have the ability to require that anymore. So I guess from that point of view, even if you completely removed that condition, it's still a requirement. So I don't know if that helps clarify. Again, the one that should be the hardest or the hurdle to sign is the county, who we need to have sign this before we issue a building permit.
So would indication of a willingness to sign the plat, but not actually having the signature on the plat, would that be sufficient?
Why wouldn't they sign the plan then?
It takes time to get an appointment to get the plat signed. That's our
If they said
concern.
everything is approved and as soon as we have it, we'll sign it, sure. I mean, also, we're willing to help. If you can get the Mylar to us, we can go work with Cook County to get it signed too.
We've got the Mylar now. It's being signed by the owner right now. We've got IDOT has already indicated that they're ready to sign the plat, so we're going to get their signature. Once we get IDOT signature, we can get you the Mylar.
Okay, well, I mean, the point would be we need something from Cook County that
Right.
says, we're all good, we'll sign this as soon as we have it. We can maybe help with
Right, and that-
getting it to them.
I've been reaching out to Michael Sturr, and possibly if the village could do the same, because he's been unresponsive the last week or so. You know, our communication has been generally pretty good, but I reached out to him to try to get at least some indication that they're going to approve the plat, because the last review letter that they sent us implied that they were ready to approve the plat. Didn't actually say they were, but it implied they were. They had no comments on the plat, basically.
Okay.
Their only comments were on the hydrology.
I think they were still waiting for, at least the last one I saw, they were waiting on their traffic group to still review it.
Right.
Was what
Right.
it said. So then that's who would ultimately need to approve it before they sign it. So assuming there was no comments that came out of that review, they were still waiting on,
Right.
then it seems like, yeah, it should be simple. But we do need that signature, and that's nothing this board or even the village board could waive it, but again, you'd have to be going through an actual public hearing process to allow this to essentially be built over that line, because if the county never signs this plat, we can't go record it. So we're kind of stuck then, right?
Okay.
So we can't issue permits for that building to go up without it. But if the county is all good, and I'll talk with our engineer who has a good connection with the county, and I
Right.
think help this move quicker.
If they can help move that along.
I can definitely have them
Yeah.
talk to them and get another update, see where it's at, and help move it quickly.
Okay.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions? No? Okay. That being said, can I get some,
You would just make
mo-
whoever wants to make the motion
Motion.
can do that, and then we would just need a second, and then we can do a roll call vote.
I make a motion to recommend the village board grant approval to the petitioner Sean Vincent on behalf of Loyola Medicine. Approval of the Loyola Medicine final plat of subdivision dated April 5th, 2022, subject to the following conditions. Final approval of the plat is subject to final review of details by the village engineer, village attorney, and Cook County review prior to recording to ensure they are accurate and matched with the proposed final plans. And number 2 is the final plats shall be recorded with the county prior to issuance of any site or building permits.
I second that motion.
okay, motion made by Commissioner Gaskell, seconded by Commissioner Lucido.
Do a roll call?
Roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell?
Yes.
Commissioner Gatto?
Yes.
Acting Chair Gatto?
Yes.
Commissioner Lucido?
Yes.
Commissioner Manning?
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Truxell?
Yes.
And so this goes to the village board on April 19th. Will just be that one meeting. So I'll stay in contact with you guys and Seth and everyone else on the project.
Would that be on the consent agenda?
No, it has its own motion on it. And I can contact you tomorrow or next week. You may only need kind of one person at that meeting. And then there's also ways that you can just kind of watch it on YouTube if you want to. So,
All right, thanks.
yep.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Gatto, for stepping in. We'll move on to item number 2. Item number 2 is a public hearing to consider recommending that the village board grant Ascend Illinois LLC, the property owner, a special use permit for an adult use cannabis dispensing organization and a special use for a substantial deviation of the Park Place planned unit development, with exceptions to the village zoning ordinance at 16200 Harlem Avenue in the B3 PD General Business and Commercial Park Place PUD zoning district. The granting of these requests will allow for a retail dispensary use for adult use cannabis. Site plan and architectural approval is also being requested. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion made by Commissioner Lusciuto and seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. I have received certification that the public hearing notice was published in a local newspaper. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter will be sworn in to speak, but after the staff's presentation. So at this time, staff, proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Chair Gray. So we're here tonight for the discussion and public hearing of the proposed Ascend Cannabis. The location is at 16200 Harlem. So on the left, you can see the aerial of where the site is located. This is a 1.1 acre outlot. The building is a freestanding, single-tenant building, as you can see in the photo on the right. This was previously Bandana's Barbecue. Before that, it was Applebee's. Ascend purchased the property last December. So here's a little bit of business background. The company Ascend Illinois LLC is a wholly owned subsidiary of Ascend Wellness Holdings Incorporated. So in the packet you received, there's a narrative that had standard operating procedures. This is, the parent company's procedures, and they are fairly established. They're experienced with locations in 5 states, 20 dispensaries. They describe themselves as vertically integrated, and they focus on emerging markets east of the Rockies, with flagships in desirable retail corridors that service key cannabis markets. So a bit about the zoning. The location, as I noted, is an outlot. It's part of the Park Place PUD, which was established in 1989 with underlying B3 zoning district. Some of the properties that have come into play since that adoption have modified, amended the ordinance as such. So in 1993, the Aldi building came in. 1995, the Kmart, which is now the future location for the Pete's Market Warehouse. And so thus in 2021, there was the Pete's Fresh Market that came in, the warehouse and the new supermarket that will be built. To the west is in dark brown, is the R6 zoning. Staff did a measurement by the aerial. It's at least 710 feet away from the west edge of the property to the east edge of R6. To the east of the property, across the Harlem Avenue, is the Brixmore Tinley Park Plaza Retail Center, which has a medical office building. And to the south is unincorporated land that Tinley Park Park District is used for recreational uses. So, as you can see, this is an outlot. It's relatively remote to other types of uses and facilities. If approved, it will be kind of going in tandem with Pete's coming in. Pete's Fresh Market expects their construction coming up shortly this spring. So the requests that are here for consideration tonight, along with the site plan architectural approval, are two special use approvals. So the first is for the substantial deviation to the Park Place PUD. In the PUD, there was a desire to have a mix of uses. So for this particular lot, it was designated for restaurant use. So we would need to have the approval remove that restriction to allow for any permitted B3 type of use. And then secondly is the nature of the use. Adult use cannabis dispensary organizations are special use permit, and they do have additional requirements in our zoning code. So that's section 5C13. One thing also to note about special use permits, they do not run with the land. They're tied to the operator, the petitioner. And in our consideration for the special uses, we'll get to the standards. They're kind of lengthy because we're looking at both the standard section 10J special uses as well as this other section specific to adult use cannabis. Okay, so about the nature of the proposed use. They're complying with the requirements that we have for the adult use cannabis, some of which are hours. They propose to operate 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. On Sundays from 12 to 6. The Ascend Wellness Holdings packet that you received, the business plan, identifies 54 employee positions with a detailed staff structure. And then for security, they provide standard operating procedures that are fairly detailed. In short, they are regulated by the state for the cannabis licensing requirements, so they're following these regulations. Some items specifically to note, here on the right, you can see the proposed layout. There's no changes to the building footprint, so what you see is what is out there. In yellow is, where I've just diagrammed the front of house where the customers would have access to. In blue is at the top, which north is down, so we're looking with the top being the south of the property. That's the outdoor secure trash area, so that would be a loading area. So for the security, one of the points of consideration is how is the product delivered? So by using this trash enclosure, which which the petitioners identified will have more than enough room for the trash as well as delivery. They plan to have a vehicle come in through the double gates that you see. The gates are all existing, so there's a set of double gates, and then there's a man gate on the south edge of the property. So the vehicle would come in, there would be locks on the gates, security cameras, and then as far as the other egress points, which I just noted in red, they will all be locked from the outside. So the only unlocked way to enter the building for a customer during the business hours would be at the bottom left of your screen, which would be the northeast end of the property. So it has controlled circulation. When a customer comes in through that point, they will be in a vestibule that has ID verification, and they estimate about 600 customers a day. So, as I noted, this is a single-tenant building. One of the adult-use cannabis requirements talks about having ventilation requirements specifically for multi-tenant. So, it's notable to recognize this is a single-tenant building in an outlot, and on top of that, they are providing an array of ventilation and odor mitigation measures. So those are defined or outlined in the business plan. In addition to HVAC and sealing of the building, weather stripping, caulking, that sort of thing. They will also have a practice to keep doors and windows closed. They'll have an air purification system in the cannabis vault. They will train staff in odor mitigation practices. In their plan, they've identified a rating system, and they will perform a weekly analysis. And based on those ratings, they would react accordingly. They would maintain records of this and can provide the records to the village upon request. So for site plan, importantly, there are no changes to the building footprint. So this is a 4,300 square foot building, very minimal change to the site. The property is an outlot, has its own parking. There are 2 vehicle access points from the west side and 1 sidewalk access point straight from Harlem. Customers enter that single entry point. They have 2 exit points, and the other doors and gates, as I noted before, they're all there now, and they'll all be locked. The only minimal change is when they're going to do the construction to the facade, there'll be some disturbance to some of the landscaping, so they'll have new landscaping to match existing. And that would be a requirement that they would need to, meet the existing previous approval. So this is an image in 2 images. What they provided from the top is looking at the north. So the entry point would be that far left pane. So what they are doing is a curtain wall system on the north and east facade with a Nichiha wall panel, panelized fiber cement above that with a wrapping canopy. And, this height will be about 4 feet higher than the edge of the building. So the rest of the building is brick. So as you can see on the top, the far right, that very dark color is that existing brick. So right now, the building has, in their parapet system, the 2 sides are shorter with a raised center. So they're basically bringing that all the way up. And then here are the other 2 elevations. So this is looking from the west on the top, and then the bottom image is looking from the south. So you can see the trash enclosure with the man door there, and the rest of the building beyond. And then these are just for reference, they're noted in your packet, the elevations of all 4 of those facades. For the architecture materials, as I noted, so they're doing this curtain wall with the wrapped canopy. This adds about 800 square feet of vertical additional glazing. The Nichiha panelized cladding is a quality product that is being applied over the, as I said, above the curtain wall. And, it's a standard product, it has it's a track system with a rain screen and such. The staining of the brick is a reddish brown for the most part. At the very top, there's some soldier core stain, just below where the roof edge is. That color is like a light beige. So they've proposed, as in the packet, this permatint product that is semi-transparent. It helps display the visual properties of the natural brick. It's a durable, mildew-resistant type of product that, non-combustible with a 20-plus year life expectancy. The applicant has not been able to provide a sample of that, so, staff would like to see more how this will actually look. As far as the color tonality, in the image to the right, the large lighter gray, that's the Nichiha, color is ash. And then the upper left is a very dark gray, that's what the proposed brick to be stained will be. And then below that, it's slightly lighter than that, but darker than Nichiha, is what they will paint the gates. So those metal gates for the trash enclosure, which are currently a dark green. They also propose to remove freezer. So inside, there's the outdoor trash enclosure, and that south, not visible because it's behind the trash enclosure, is what would be, it's the location for this existing freezer, so they will remove that. The freezer was not entirely enclosed, so when they remove that, they will put in a new wall with a new roof. And so that's not something that will have much visibility, but, is another scope of the project. As far as exceptions to the PUD, would involve the masonry requirements and alternative building materials. And we do have a percentage cap on those. So this is the only open item that staff has for this proposal is the final colors and materials shall be subject to review and approval by village staff. And then signage, they propose 4 signs. 3 of them are wall signs. One is on an existing ground base sign at the north of the property. The 3 wall signs all comply with the Section 9 sign code of the sign area. They're 57 square feet each. Our sign code does have a requirement for location of a wall sign on a single tenant building to be as close to the entrance as possible. So obviously, as you can see in the top image, that's the northeast of the right sign there. That would, it's centered over the Nichiha panel, but the door is all the way to the left. So this is a reasonable exception to the code. As it has a, it's centered and it has a visually pleasing location. And then the freestanding sign, will also meet the Section 9 code. One thing to note, it will have a brick base. Well, the base is existing. And the applicant notes it'll be stained with a permanent color complementary to the building. And then parking, not really anything to discuss here because there's no changes to it. It is 75 parking stalls. No changes are proposed. The zoning classification, based on the size of the building, would only require 29 parking spaces. And then for lighting, there are lights on the exterior of the building, several goosenecks, as well as some small wall sconces. So those are all proposed for removal, with several new exterior sconces. There will be on all sides of the building. The side that would have the most would be on the west facade. They're proposing 8. The applicant has acknowledged that the lighting will meet our glare requirements in the zoning code. They've provided an image here of what the lighting would be and noted that they can remove the uplighting. And so the only item, as I said, was the final colors and materials. They're subject to approval from staff. And then I have the standards here whenever you're ready. So I go over them, and the applicant's team from Ascend, as well as their architect and informer here.
Okay, excellent, Lori, thank you. Does anyone from the applicant wish to come up and speak? And whoever comes up, please sign your name in the book. Also, introduce yourself and your position.
I'll sign after. My name is Lucas Hoflicker. I'm the Director of Strategy for Ascend Wellness. I'm here, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for taking the time to meet with us tonight, and I'd like to answer any questions or concerns that the board may have. And I also have with us our architectural and design team, as well as Josh, who leads retail for us in the Chicagoland area, to answer any additional questions the board may have.
Okay, excellent. Lucas, go ahead. Do you have anything else to add, or just to introduce?
Yeah, I was just introducing. I'm
No
sorry.
problem. We appreciate it. With that, I won't swear you in just for introducing yourself. With that, I'll ask our commission if they have any comments at this time. Commissioner Gatto?
So I just have a question. 600 people come through a facility like this on a day?
And that's more a question for them. I don't know these.
You know, I
very
will
well, so-
swear you in, Lucas.
Okay.
Why, because there might be some more questions, like, do you swear or affirm that that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, proceed.
Okay, so approximately 600 people come through a facility like this on a daily basis?
Yes.
So I have been to other dispensaries, and they have security that's outside, pretty much manning everybody that comes in. Do you guys have something set up for that also? Like, is there queuing lines on the inside? Do people line up on the outside of the building? How do you guys navigate all
So
that?
we try to avoid outside lines. They do tend to happen sometimes just when you open a store, but we try to get everybody to go inside and queue inside. And that's the whole point of the vestibule and everything inside, and the way we set up our layout inside the dispensary is to kind of queue people inside. And the other thing we push for is a lot of times to encourage customers and educate customers on pre-ordering. That's a lot of ways we can cut down on times. If you pre-order, you can usually get out and in. Josh can probably quote it better than I can, but I think in under 5 or 10 minutes, normally you can get customers in and out when they pre-order. In other instances as well, other townships have required parking attendants or outside security. In those instances, they help kind of just shuttle traffic and make sure that everybody does queue on the side of the building if a line does tend to form, and kind of shuttle everybody in and out of the building as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Lucas, can I just ask a follow-up question to that? So if you pre-order and that's 5 to 10 minutes, what happens when somebody doesn't pre-order? What's the time from walking in to walking out, approximately average?
I would say it depends on how busy the dispensary is at that moment. Typically, I would say no more than 10 minutes.
Okay.
They would stay in the queue for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Process.
I was just trying to figure out the turnover time, because as Commissioner Gatto said, if you're getting 600 and you're open 12 hours, it's about 50 people, 50 customers every hour, so you gotta get them in and out.
Yeah. And a lot of our stores, I know our stores in Southern Illinois and a lot of our Chicagoland stores, they do upwards of 1,000 to 1,500 transactions a day. So we're very well versed in this and used to it. 600 customers a day should not be a problem at all for us to handle, and as well as the parking lot. It's kind of part of our strategy in picking out specific properties is parking. Parking is one of our biggest issues. So like anything over pretty much 50 parking stalls can satisfy our needs is what we've realized. And we also look for areas like of this, if there ends up being a down the road issue where we can go to the existing tenants in the neighboring spots and kind of lease 15, 20 stalls on a need-be basis if needed. And that's kind of a last case scenario, but we always do look into those situations.
Okay.
There is cross parking here, but like, let's say they were permanently using those, they could always go
Yep.
ask them to actually lease them.
So over 50 is sufficient for even when they have the 1,000 customers a day, approximately?
About 75 if you're going over 1,000.
Okay, so we're half, or
Yep.
just a little bit over half, okay.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Any more questions, Commissioner?
No, the building looks great. I think it's great that it's a freestanding building. It's not connected to anything. I think, it's a perfect location for it, and that area really needs to kind of be revamped right now, so, I think the plan looks great. So, yeah.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Mann?
No, I concur with Commissioner Gatto. I like the building, and, thanks for choosing Tinley Park.
Thanks for having us.
Commissioner Gaskell.
I have nothing to say.
Okay. Commissioner Lucido.
I just, I agree with my other commissioners. I will say, I understand, turning this over from a restaurant only, since all these restaurants were failing there anyways. It's, it'd be good to have a permanent tenant in that space, so you don't have this vacant building just sitting there, very visible on Harlem Avenue like that. So, and yeah, I think the building looks great, and, welcome to Tinley Park.
I think they would have done better had Pete's been open, maybe driving traffic there for them, but this is a really good complementary use too, and Pete's is aware of it. They didn't really have any comments or anything either, so. And also, from a design perspective too, Pete's building is gonna kind of be pretty modern, so this one's kind of complementary to that. You're not gonna have like a really traditional building and then a really modern one. They're going with a pretty modern look on their exterior as well, so.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Truxell.
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. So the loading area security, to me, it's currently a trash location, I guess. So I'm guessing that's just a chain link fence with some privacy panels on it. Is that gonna be changed, or, I mean, what's the material for that?
It's actually.
Should be a
it might-
secure area, you
It
know?
might be something why they were interested. It actually works perfect, I think, pretty much as it is now. So it's actually a brick wall that matches the building around it right now.
So it's not open for trucks, dump trucks or garbage trucks to get in there, or?
No, it's just the world's biggest dumpster enclosure. Like, they just have the gates and they'd open them and back in and do it, but it's a pretty big enclosure. where you
So
can
your
actually
delivery
fit.
trucks can pull in completely and you can close the gates while the transactions are going on, loading, unloading?
Yeah, and all the licensed operators in the state, they tend to use like Dodge Sprinter vans. Like, there's nothing over the size, I would say, with Sprinter van that any of the deliveries occur in. So there'll be plenty of room in that location.
Security, I'm just thinking security, because you've got some valuable product there, right?
Yeah.
Once people know what's going on and they see this is where they load and unload, you guys are prepared and you have security set up for that then, right?
Yeah, there's security measures, and I think Josh can speak a little more of it. A lot of times the trucks tend to back straight in.
Yep.
And they back in and open the doors, so there's only way you can get product in and out would be from the inside of the dispensary, how the truck's located.
Is there,
And then there's a cage in the front of the truck as well.
so
or
I'm just
van.
curious if there's something where you kind of give the village police department a notice that here's when our deliveries are coming, or I don't know if they want to be more aware of that. I don't know.
Josh, could you, approach the lectern and sign in, and then I'll swear you in as well?
Got it.
I'm just curious about the process, and I don't want to.
Yeah, no,
It's
I-
a public meeting, so I don't want to give everything away, but just, I want to make sure everything's in place there.
And our police department, just so you know, did review this.
Okay.
The
Excellent.
locations and everything from the original zoning of kind of where we wanted them.
Yep.
This was like a preferred spot for them.
All right, good.
Because they kind of want something that wasn't tucked in the back of an industrial warehouse where we go, just stay out of our view and give us the tax money.
I agree.
They kind of wanted it, okay, if this could attract some problems, we'd rather have people be able to see it. So
Absolutely.
this is actually kind of a preferred location for them. And I'm sure you guys will be in close contact with them just in general to make sure everything's running correctly. But
Couple of things.
Josh, could you state your full name?
My name is Joshua Evans.
Okay, and so Josh, do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, proceed, thanks.
So one of the IDFPR regulations for every dispensary is that you have to have armed guards. So as a part of the receiving process of product, there's an armed guard stationed at the door with the team as they're receiving the product. So if there were someone to try to infiltrate, we would have direct security there to deter that from happening. Additionally, the state police do regular inspections of our space to ensure that safety is, top of mind.
All right, great.
The state police also have 24-hour access to all of our security cameras as well.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good to know.
Okay.
The floor plan, it shows the employee locker room, it looks like, but there's no entry door on it. I'm just curious how that works.
Not sure where the employee locker room.
Right on the other side of the loading area, there's lockers and looks like a table and 4 chairs, but there's no door to that room.
There's a door that goes into a room adjacent to that, right? But there's not a door that goes into that room, right?
Well, yeah, they're
Good
not
catch.
construction plans, so.
Okay.
I think our building official will
Right.
probably catch
All
the
right,
golden
just thought I'd
rule.
call it a little housekeeping there.
But yeah, it is just like a conceptual floor plan.
All right, last question. The windows on the existing restaurant, are those being covered with some kind of panels? Or are you tearing the brick out and totally I wouldn't think you're gonna reconstruct the whole building for that.
I can speak to it.
Yes, sir, if you can state your full name, write it down as well, I'll give you some time.
Okay.
Okay, and what is your full name, sir?
My name is Taufik Lasisi. I'm with Uniform Design. We are the architects for this project.
Okay, excellent. Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, proceed.
So as far as the building exterior construction is concerned, the north and east facade, we're going to remove 10-foot by 40 feet length of the existing construction, which is pocket windows,
Okay.
doors, and things like that, and put in the storefront system that you see in that picture. The other two sides, we're just going to put a privacy film, which is more of a security film that's required by the state with limited visibility inside.
Okay, and the replacement on the north and east side, so you're removing sections of the wall, and what's going over that? Are these the fiber panels or?
This is a storefront system.
Storefront
with,
system with
with
glass.
film on it. It's
Glass?
actually glass and
Okay,
aluminum.
okay. Those are my only questions. So it looks great. Yeah, glad to see you coming in, and good luck to you guys. So
Thank you.
hope you do good business. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Merrick, any comments?
No, I'm last, and everybody's covered everything, so I'm good, thank you.
Well, thanks, Commissioner Merrick. I do have a few things. A lot of stuff has been said. I agree with it's nice that it's freestanding, so I think it's a good location, just in terms of any sort of issues with odors and whatnot. I do agree with the commission that the building design looks very clean, very professional, very well done. The open item that was in question on the permittent, I think to Lori, staff's point of getting a sample, if you guys could provide a sample, because how does, the biggest thing is, for me, is when you actually put that down, the dark gray, over that, I think it's reddish and some brown, we'll get the desired color.
So we're working with Permatent right now, who is the stain manufacturer. So we went for a clear coat stain, which is it doesn't cover up the brick so much that you don't get that natural feel for it. So we did have them send samples to us
Okay.
of a red brick that is stained with the color that we specified. There's an earth tone gray.
Okay.
So it's gonna look really nice. It's more modern, takes away from the reddish color, and complements the glass and the Nichia panel.
Okay.
I
Oh.
think we pushed them kind of on that, because originally that's probably me and Lori being mean, but like, the actual true painting of brick isn't kind of what we want to happen in town, because brick has just kind of natural characters that are really good in maintenance. Low maintenance, looks good, kind of has that nice high quality feel to it, so we kind of pushed them to, hey, can you
I must say,
stain it? And I think they worked with a good company there that knows what they're doing, but we just wanted some confirmation. We normally have
I
some kind
agree.
of
If you're doing
samples to
that,
say,
yeah.
this is what it looks like, not what a computer screen shows you.
Right, the reality, and that's, yeah, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak. And, yeah, have you guys seen the samples personally? Not yet. So if you guys could just provide samples to staff, it doesn't sound like that's an issue, since you had proof of a red one being stained.
And we can work with them too, if sometimes it's hard to get something if they're custom doing it. If we can see it being done beforehand or
Yeah.
something, we can work with them on that.
Sure.
So,
Part of our design process is making sure that even if, when we do get a sample, we're gonna actually ask them to do a mock-up.
Oh, perfect.
That we review before they paint the whole wall.
Perfect.
So
No,
it'll
that's-
probably be on the trash enclosure
Right,
wall.
exactly. So they can do any tweaks to make sure that they get the desired color. And again, I do like the colors, it's a little bit different, it looks modern. And I think the commission has mentioned their approval of that too. I do have a question. I do appreciate you guys sending this business plan. This did answer some of my questions. I'm not very familiar. I know this is kind of a new type of business that's been popping up. But one question I had was, I like the fact in there it had no loitering, and that you guys, if you see somebody or one of your security identifies somebody as quote-unquote loitering, they'll approach them and say, hey, do you need assistance? I think that's a good, polite way to, approach them. But if you ask them to leave, where do effectively the premises begin and end? So if they just go off the property proper, and then they're in Pete's Fresh Market's, one of their parking stalls, where does that authority end? I mean, because if somebody's loitering and then they move 20 feet, they're still loitering, but not really on your property, I guess, if that makes,
Makes sense. I would say our property line, I think if we did run into that type of issue where somebody was loitering on our property, then we saw them just jump across the street, Pete's Fresh Market, we would definitely notify the village,
Yeah.
or the village police department of an issue going on. But yeah, our kind of authority would end at the property line.
I understood. I like the fact that you guys said you would provide, contact, if it escalates, you would contact the police if they're refusing to go, and you also would provide video footage. So I think you guys absolutely know what you're doing, since you have businesses that operate already.
and I think our police department will at least have some initial contact with them, so they know, hey, if you're having a reoccurring problem or something, here's someone to reach out to. So our police department's aware it's coming in. I think they've done some research too with other communities. And I assume if someone was being really suspicious, but they moved to Pete's Fresh Market or onto the sidewalk, you're still gonna go check it out, make sure
Right.
something's going on if they are like being suspicious and hanging around. So can't speak for our police department, but they're pretty good, so I'm sure they'll be able to figure it out.
I agree. I think the very detailed business plan works, from your security detailing and whatnot, and so, yeah, I think it looks great, and I have no further comments. So, Josh, if you guys want to sit down, you can. I'm going to ask if anybody from the public is wishing to speak, but it looks like everybody's just design staff and Tinley staff, so,
Thank you for your time.
yeah, okay.
Thank you so much. I just want to say special thanks to Daniel and Laurie for all the help and communication that they've given us through this process.
Okay, well, thank you, gentlemen. So if there's no further questions or discussions, may I have a motion to close the public hearing at this time?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Okay, motion made by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Lori, if you can present the standards at this time.
So I'm going to go over standards for the special use as well as the standard special use standards, as well as the adult use cannabis specific ones. So this first one is the one that you would typically see from Section 10 of the zoning code. Firstly, about it not being detrimental to endanger public health, safety, welfare, et cetera. The use will follow the guidelines required by the state. It will have access into the building that's controlled by a single point of entry that requires identification verification. B, that the use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property and not diminish and impair property values substantially in the neighborhood. The renovation will be a clean, contemporary design which will beautify and improve upon its existing design. The design will be complementary to other recently approved retail and commercial redevelopment in the area. C, that it will not impede the normal and orderly development. So this is, it will not impede the development of the surrounding property, which is already in the process of being redeveloped or already developed. It'll be located in a existing freestanding outlot building with sufficient parking. D is in regards to utilities. So this is an existing outlot building with no proposed changes to those elements. E is regards to minimizing traffic congestion via ingress and egress. The use will have adequate measures taken for this, and there are no changes to the access points of the site. F just notes that they'll conform to the applicable regulations, so they'll comply with all other village, state, and PUD regulations. And then lastly, G is in regards to the economic development. So the proposed use will create approximately 50 new jobs and produce additional sales and property tax revenues for local governments to utilize. So then this set of standards is the one that is new to us for adult use cannabis from Section 5 of the code. The first is regarding impact of the proposed facility on existing or planned uses. Again, it's an existing building that's relatively remote to other uses and facilities, does not appear to have a significant or negative impact on the other nearby commercial uses. It's approximately 710 feet from the nearest residential uses and separated by additional parking and the future Pete's Fresh Market supermarket building. Next point is on security. So they will have a comprehensive security installation, security plan to be approved by the state, and they will comply with building code. The location is preferred by the village for safety and security reasons, as it will have public visibility from Harlan. Okay, this next set starts with hours of operation and customers. Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sundays, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., estimated 54 employee positions and 600 customers a day. Next is on parking. They will meet the required parking demand and have additional shared parking available to the west of the property. Next is traffic generation. So they appear to have anticipated traffic generation appropriate for its locational access and context. Traffic generation is anticipated to be from Harlem Avenue. Vehicular access is via 2 access points on the west side, which connects to a drive aisle that's parallel to Harlem, and to be reconstructed with the Pete's Fresh Market redevelopment. Okay, next, regarding site design. So the proposed use has satisfactory site design, access points, and internal site circulation. The 2 vehicle access points and sidewalk remain unchanged, as well as the internal site circulation. Next is signage. The proposed use will comply with Section 10 of the zoning ordinance with regards to business signage and the additional restrictions on cannabis regulatory signage. Next is section in compliance with Section 5C13. This is the whole section that we're referring to right now. It will comply with this as applicable. And then the next is about other criteria. No other criteria have been determined to be necessary. And then this is regarding sufficient distance or setbacks between the operations of the special use and right-of-way, so that the operations do not dominate or alter the essential character of the area, and that opportunities exist for shared parking. So as we noted, it's located along the west side of Harlem. The building's aligned with the public right-of-way, does not dominate, alter, or diminish the essential character, and has, in addition to surplus of parking, provided shared parking west of the property. Then next is regarding the HVAC, so, and air treatment systems, and note this is regarding if it's in a multi-tenant building, and this is in a single-tenant building, and include measures that we discussed, including HVAC, carbon filters, a Vornado air purification system, and include training on odor mitigation practices with the performance of a weekly analysis. And then here are the standards for site plan architectural just noted on one slide. And here they are in detail. And then here's the site design. And that concludes the standards. I have the motions up on screen when you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Lori. At this time, may I have a motion, motion number 1, special use for a substantial deviation?
I'll take
I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the village board grant special use permit for a substantial deviation from the Park Place planned unit development with exceptions to the village zoning ordinance to the petitioner Ascend Illinois LLC to permit an adult use cannabis dispensary organization at 16200 Harlem Avenue in the B3 PD Business, General Business and Commercial Park Place PUD zoning district, where the requirement for a restaurant use will be removed in accordance with the plan submitted and adopted findings of fact as proposed in the April 7th, 2022 staff report.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Gatto, seconded by Commissioner Gaskell. Lori, may I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Gatto.
Yes.
Commissioner Lasciuto.
Yes.
Commissioner Manny.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Truxell.
Yes.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. Now, at this time, I have a motion, motion number 2, for a special use for a cannabis dispensary.
I make a motion to recommend that the village board grant a special use permit to the petitioner, Ascend Illinois LLC, to permit an adult use cannabis dispensing organization at 162nd and Harlem Avenue in the B3 PD General Business and Commercial Park Place PUD zoning district in accordance with the plans submitted and adopt findings of fact as proposed in the April 7, 2022 staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1, the petitioner must obtain a state license within 1 year of approval and stay within good standing with the state of Illinois cannabis licensing and taxing regulations. The special use shall be automatically repealed if the petitioner ever loses state licensing approvals.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Truxell, seconded by Commissioner Lasciuto. May I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Gatto.
Yes.
Commissioner Lasciuto.
Yes.
Commissioner Manny.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Truxell.
Yes.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. Now, may I have a final motion, motion number 3, for site plan and architectural approval?
I make a motion to grant the petitioner Ascend Illinois LLC site plan and architectural approval for redevelopment of an outlot to have an adult use cannabis dispensing organization at 16200 Harlem Avenue in the B3 PD General Business and Commercial Park Place PUD zoning district in accordance with the plan submitted and adopt findings of fact as proposed in the April 7, 2022 staff report, subject to the following conditions. 1, site plan approval is subject to approval of the requested PUD by the village board. 2, final color and materials shall be subject to review and approval by village staff prior to issuance of a building permit.
Okay,
Se-
you-
Second.
okay, motion made by Commissioner Lasciuto, seconded by Commissioner Gatto. Lori, may I have a roll call?
Commissioner Gaskell.
Yes.
Commissioner Gatto.
Yes.
Commissioner Lasciuto.
Yes.
Commissioner Manny.
Yes.
Commissioner Merrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Truxell.
Yes.
Chairman Gray.
Yes. Okay, the motion is carried. I just want to get clarification from staff. This item will go to the village board on April 19th?
Yep.
Okay, so, everybody with the team, if you can get with staff just to make sure that you're present for that, village board meeting on April 19th. Other than that, you're free to go. Thank you for your time tonight, and good luck.
And we'll be in contact with you. I don't know if you need to bring the whole design team next time. You could probably just have one person come, and it's just one meeting since that's a unanimous recommendation. Thank you. Yep. Thanks, everyone. Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to good of the order. Staff, do you have anything to present?
Yes, Commissioner Lasciuto is going to be stepping down from the commission after next meeting, I
Yes.
believe, correct? So he'll be here one more meeting, but just to let everyone know, and thank you for your service and your time. I think you helped out a lot, and you had some great questions, so thank you for showing up and participating, and we were glad to have you. So if you ever want to come back, feel free to shoot me an email. Thanks for your time here. The next meeting is April 21st. Kind of from this meeting on, we're going to be really full for a long time. So we have some pretty packed agendas and a lot of projects going on right now. So just a heads up that if you're not going to be here, just let us know, since attendance is going to be important. But they are also working to get some new, we'll have 2 openings now, so they're going to work to get a couple appointments, so we have a full commission as well. Just so somebody's not feeling bad if they're not feeling well, we want you to be able to have a day off and not feel like you're letting the group down. So also, if you know anybody that's interested, feel free to have them reach out as well. We're always open to anybody who's actually interested in volunteering here on the board. We'd be glad to hear from them. So, Floor and Decor project, so they are stocking at that Floor and Decor, the former Burlington. And then they also completed most of that facade work on the front within the last couple days. So the weather kind of held them up, because I think it's been raining for like 3 weeks straight, but they did finally get to the facade.
My neighbor's
I think
building an ark.
the facade's up, the signs are up, they're stocking inside. They still have some of the parking lot work to do, and some of the back and the sides of the building, but they're really close, so excited to have them moving forward. The Starbucks on the Grange Road, which was the old MB Financial, that is opening on Saturday. So we'll have a new Starbucks in town with the drive-through, and maybe that'll alleviate a little bit of pain for the one on Harlem, which is busy all the time and difficult to get in and out of. So we have another option, another drive-through option in town. And then the Starbucks on Harlem, the walls are going up for that if you've been past it, so they're moving there. The Holiday Inn is moving along pretty quick too. They're doing the exterior facade work. They're actually working on the interior somewhat as well. And then as the asphalt plants kind of open up here in spring, they'll be doing some of the parking lot and site work as well. So they're moving along at a good pace. The Durbin's Express passed the village board, which was the last meeting you guys had done, the Durbin's Express speaker, so that passed the village board. That's obviously full operation now, with the previous Durbin's, or their main location closing. Tom, the owner, that wasn't anyone's preference, but between the property owner and him, couldn't work something out. It's kind of the nature sometimes of having spaces, so we are still working with the owner. We've been in contact with them to, 1, make sure the building being maintained, and then 2, to work with them to get someone in there, because while we preferred it to be Durbin's, we also don't want a vacant building, so we're gonna work with them to try and get some, hopefully a new business in there, and bring some life to a building that's obviously pretty important to, in the center of our downtown. Papa's Popcorn is really close to opening too. I say that each time, but they're inching closer. And they're gonna be doing the signage as well as adjusting some of the canopies out there. So the way they did the canopies wasn't the original plan. And there's kind of some guides that go back and hold the canopies up, but they also take up like all the signage space you'd use. So they're gonna be adjusting some of those out there, so that way they can get signage space for their tenants. But I think they have the permits ready for both the canopy work and the sign. And then hopefully she's open within the next month or 2, kind of at most. Also, we're nuts about Mutts is still here. They just moved down the street where Top Driver previously was, next to the escape room. So they kind of got a new space, a little bit bigger space. We're able to remodel it, make it for them. So also, if you know anybody that's looking for a space in downtown Tinley, now we have that space open as well. So sometimes we get complaints that there's businesses moving or closing, but it can be a good thing too. You get some new blood in there, new businesses. People are expanding, so there is some good behind it sometimes. And at least Durbin's has their Durbin's Express, so if you still want their pizza, we still got an option there. And you can even drive up and take it out now, back to your house, so. And we've worked with Durbin's as well to look at other locations in Tinley too, for their kind of full scale. Since I know they'll be missed, just to go sit at the bar, have some pizza, live music. They were known for that here, so. That's all I have. Again, just let me, Lori, Terrell know if you have anything coming up, so we can be ready for the agendas.
One of my question was, the Tribes Ale House, I think you mentioned, months back that you guys had some interest for that?
Yeah, so they're actually working in there right now. It's I'm gonna mess it up, Hillgrove Tap. They have a location, in,
Oh,
no, not Wheaton, it's like, I should know this. And it may not be called that anyways, they might have a different name for it, but they're running another kind of sports bar and grill type place. But they do some really good food, really good service, in another town. And so this will be their next location. They already have a permit and are doing work in there.
good, yeah, that's a nice building with some nice exterior space, so glad to
And
hear
they,
that.
yeah, they're pretty excited for, especially that patio area and everything else. So I know they're remodeling the inside. Kind of gonna leave the exterior the way it is right now, but then I think that's their next phase of the remodel will be kind of making outside even more kind of inviting and open. Excited to have them. But it was a great space. I'm surprised it sat
I know,
that long, but it was also COVID, so.
well, that's true, yeah.
Dan, what about that bigger space at the boulevard? Is there any,
Interest for the
Yeah.
restaurant.
We're working with a few, so there's nothing finalized, but we have hopefully a couple tenants we're working with.
Good. Okay, thanks, Dan. At this time, we'll move on to receiving comments from the public. Seeing no public here, we'll move on to adjourning the meeting. May I have a motion to close the meeting? Commissioner Gaskell made the motion. Did I hear a second?
second?
Commissioner Lucido seconded that motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.